Bueno, pues tras el último capítulo terminamos lo que sería el primer episodio del juego. Que si nos damos cuenta, aquí tenemos todas estas secciones, ya las hemos pasado. Este ha sido el primer episodio. Tengo el resto, así que poco a poco vamos a irlos viendo. Ahora mismo vamos a empezar con el siguiente. Así que...
How many times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible.
Esto es como un resumen, ¿no?
Hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Richet. Monsieur de Richet,
Coño, y la otra
I am
muerta.
arresting you for the murder of Elizabeth Adams.
Vale, justo por ahí nos habíamos quedado. Qué buen resumen. ¿Qué pasa con estos? ¿Por qué no puedo desbloquearlos? No lo entiendo. Punto de habilidad en psicología, en erudición, en manipulación, en ciencias. A ver, puedo ver los tal... No, sí, personaje. ¿Qué es esto? Persuasión. Si tuviéramos persuasión... ¿O esto qué es? Inquisición. Inquisición o persuasión nos vendría de maravilla porque completaríamos eso. Erudición a lo mejor. A ver. Persuasión. Nada. Bueno, este nos da un punto de... Nos da un punto de todo. Manuscrito más equipar, más 2. O sea, puedo más... Psicología, erudición, hemos dicho. Y... Manipulación a lo mejor. Manipulación es el que me queda, ¿no? Ah, no, manipulación ya lo tengo. ¿Qué me queda? Distracción. ¿Tengo algo que sea distracción? ¿La verdad? Bueno, pues ya está. Así nos quedamos. Joder, vaya despacho.
At last we meet, Monsieur de Richet. Do you mind if I call you Louis?
Please do.
Thank you. I wish to apologize wholeheartedly, Louis. I made you cross the seas, and I wasn't even here to welcome you. When I asked you to join us here, it was, of course, in the hope that you would help us find your mother. But an act of horrific violence occurred during the night, and I do not know if this is linked to the disappearance of Sarah.
¿Me está silbando? ¿Relación con mi madre?
If there's a possible link to my mother, I hope you'll let me know.
In the early hours of the morning, Elizabeth Adams was found dead in her room, savagely mutilated with a knife. I'll get straight to the point, Louis. According to the initial elements at my disposal, you were the last person to see her alive.
Yes, last night we, Do you suspect me?
I want you to tell me everything that happened last night and leave nothing out. Tell me, how did the evening begin?
Uf. Oh, mierda, no tengo distracción.
Duchess Hillsborough and I were returning to our rooms when Elizabeth came up to us. She was in a state of panic and insisted that she needed to speak to me. She said she feared for her life. I took my leave of the Duchess and followed Elizabeth to her room.
Continue.
She insisted we have a drink, without which she refused to confide anything.
What exactly did she want to speak about?
No sé yo si me fío de este tío, No me fío nada. Pero esto es serio, no sé yo si debería mentirle. En cuanto a decisión. Voy a ser
She claimed she
menos el
saw
mentiroso.
my mother the previous evening on the cliff, if I remember correctly.
Interesting. I will send someone as soon as possible. But do go on.
I refused to go on drinking with her. She already seemed drunk and her conversation became confused. So, then she ordered me to get out. If only I'd stayed.
Don't blame yourself, Louis. How could you have known? But thank you for this new information. Louis, I shan't hide the fact that this tragedy puts me in a very delicate situation. I cannot risk upsetting the smooth operation of our next conference. But the case cannot remain unaddressed. I must reassure my guests, and justice will be done. And for that to happen, I must ask for your help.
Why's that?
You met Elizabeth. You spoke together, I believe. She trusted you. Listen,
Bueno,
Louis.
sí que se
Find
fía de mí.
out who could have committed this murder. I refuse to believe that one of my guests is the murderer. I want to know who is responsible for this. And I trust you.
Pero si
You
yo he
have
venido
my backing.
por mi madre.
Stop at nothing. Can I count on you?
Of course. How would you like me to proceed?
Mira cómo no me
Maybe
dejan
we
ni
start
dar
by
opciones.
going to the scene of the crime. Elizabeth was attacked in her room.
Detalles.
Can you tell me anything else about what happened?
Now, Louis, I wouldn't want to influence you. Get over there and form your own opinion.
Sospechoso.
Do you have any suspects in mind, my lord?
I spent most of the night talking with Sir Gregory and His Eminence Piaggi, so I think you can remove them from the list of suspects. Monsieur Bonaparte and President Washington left the party after midnight, I believe. They were tired and went up to bed.
Right. I'll get over there immediately.
Thank you, Louis. Now, once you've finished, come back and let me know your findings. I'll be waiting. And Louis, you've got permission to search through the guests' rooms. They've all been notified and they agree.
Qué bien. Pues me voy a inflar a coger cosas. Vale, vamos a empezar investigándote a ti, señor. ¿Qué es esto? ¿Dónde están tus...? Bien, bien. Un poquito de abrojo por aquí. Macho, los faroles estos no me dejan pasar. ¿Hablo con este hombre?
Your Eminence, I
Your
imagine
Eminence.
that you've heard the news about Miss Adams.
What a tragedy, my son. How could such a thing have happened?
That's exactly what I'm trying to find out. Did you notice anything out of the ordinary last night?
I saw the young French soldier, Bonaparte, I believe, hanging around near Miss Adams' room. But I would not want to get an innocent man into trouble, Louis. It's probably nothing.
¿Algo más?
But if I were you, my son, I would talk to Monsieur Peru. You remember how violently he set upon Miss
Madre mía, es que apenas hay
Adams.
sospechosos.
Oh, don't worry. He's on the list of suspects.
Vale. Yo quiero cosas. Hay cosas aquí. Allí veo algo. Hay un punto ahí. Un punto de algo. Muy bien, está en el otro lado. Rip. Oh, una llave con el símbolo del agua.
Dante's Purgatory. Why does your mind presume to flight when you're still like the imperfect grub, the worm before it's attained its final form? Charming.
Sí, mucho. ¿Qué es esto? ¿Qué es esto boquete que hay aquí? Madre mía, este tío... ¿Sabes que existen las barandas para algo, no? Que he visto por aquí que brillaba.
A Chinese coin.
Una moneda.
Recognizable by the hole in the middle. If I remember rightly, that's called a cash.
El buen cash.
Which four-letter word could open this chest?
ARSN. No sé, no quiero tocarlo, no voy a hacer que luego la líe. Una palabra de 4 letras. Pues ya nos tenemos que calentar la cabeza. A no ser que tenga algo que ver con algo de aquí. Que... no lo sé. Vale, por aquí no hay nada. Mira, apenas soy gitano, ¿eh? De la casa del señor este. A ver. ¿Está este hombre aquí escribiendo? Madre mía, menudos cuadros pinta el Payuki.
Carmelite water.
Me aseguro que aquí hay una super caja fuerte o algo. ¿Qué es esto?
The Nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781.
Interesante. No hay ningún libro que pueda coger ni... ¡Ah! ¿Pero es el que estaba silbando todo el rato? Imagino que sí. ¡Eh! Ah, y habla también. Qué bien. Otra moneda. Vale, pues ya solamente me queda hablar con este señor.
I've come to speak about the findings of the investigation, my lord.
Ah, que si no he encontrado nada.
I'm listening, Louis.
Ya le digo, nada, gracias. Adiós.
I'll be in touch as soon as I have any more information.
Le molesto, me quedo en blanco y me doy la vuelta y no, ya me voy. Vale, vale. O sea que con ese puedo hablar una vez termine con todo esto. Por aquí se baja, ¿no? Vale, ¿y ahora dónde estoy? Ah, esta es la escalera que no me dejaba subir. Bueno, pues vamos a empezar por yo que sé, por esta puerta. ¿Esta puerta de quién es? ¿Puede? No. Pues... ¿a quién le ha tocado? ¿Quién eres?
Johann van Vulner.
Johann von Bulmer. También está cerrado, tío, pues no me habían dicho que me podía meter en las habitaciones de la peña. Madre mía, la música es súper épica aquí. ¡Oh! ¿Quién eres tú? ¿Vas a dejar entrar aquí? Sí, sí puedo. Primero voy a hablar con él.
Good day, Monsieur de Richet.
Mr. Volner, are you looking for anything in particular? Next to Elizabeth's room?
No, nothing special.
I'd have thought this is not really the shortest way to get to your suite.
Yes, I wasn't really looking where I was going.
Madre mía,
I shall
apenas
leave you
sospechoso.
now, sir. I will return to my room.
Pero ¿por qué todo el mundo está sospechoso? ¿Y le dejan que se vaya? Bueno, pues nada. La habitación de Elizabeth. Investiga la muerte de Adam. ¿Qué me pasa que no sé hablar? Investiga. ¿Por qué le llaman Adam? Es su apellido, lo sé, pero me desconcierta un montón. Madre mía, menuda escena.
Clock stopped at 3:54. If it was smashed during the murder, then I've just established the time of the crime.
Madre mía, qué crack soy.
My dear Elizabeth,
Este ya lo
I'm
hemos visto.
writing to inform you.
Has Sir finished with this room?
Do you know who could have made such a mess of this room?
Miss Adams, sir. We were given orders to leave the room as it was, so as not to rush her.
Did she have a fight with someone to get the room into this state?
Not that I know of, sir. Miss Adams would sometimes throw a tantrum, during which she would destroy anything that came to hand. Lord Mortimer told us not to enter the room.
Thanks for that information.
You are welcome, sir. Has Sir finished with this room?
No, I haven't gone over everything yet.
Sir may take his time. When Sir would like to leave, Sir has only to tell me.
Vale, o sea que este tío está aquí solamente para...
Pentagram? What the hell's been going on here? Contrary to what most people believe, the pentagram's not there to conjure up, I don't know what evil or demonic creature. With the point toward the top, the pentagram is an ancient symbol of protection against evil. Many esoteric rituals are based on this shape. Could Elizabeth have been sacrificed during an occult ritual?
Hostias. Lógica.
I wonder if Elizabeth's death has anything at all to do with this pentagram. If a ritual went wrong and degenerated, Elizabeth would probably have been killed in the center of the pentagram, not 3 meters from here. That's strange.
Sí, es extraño, sí. Oh.
Huh. The talisman that I gave back to Elizabeth. I can't exactly say it brought her good luck.
¿Coge la O?
Huh. The talisman that I gave back to Elizabeth. I can't exactly say it brought her good luck.
O sea, se agacha, lo mira y se pira. Vale, pues nada, lo dejamos ahí. ¿Es una bañera?
A notebook, written in Elizabeth's handwriting. It is written in a mix of several languages. Not too easy to work out.
Erudición o lingüística, o sea. Me parece muy fácil de descifrar. No lo utilizan fácilmente.
Medieval Latin. Well, enough to translate a bit. He's coming. The demon is upon me. He's coming back to kill me. There she is. Death has come to finish me off. I've just run into her son. That was her last entry. What tortured writing.
Joder, tampoco loca con mi
A
madre.
novel of the initiation of a young woman into polite society.
Las cartas serán lo mismo de... Inmunidad descubierta de Adam, psicología. Bueno, está bien que lo descubra cuando ya está muerta.
A pistol? Fairly new, I'd say. And judging by the weight of it, fairly light.
Eso, pon las manos ahí para que te pille todas las huellas. Ay.
It's extremely well maintained. The barrel is perfectly clean. It isn't loaded, and well, there's no traces of gunshot residue. I'd conclude that it hasn't been used recently. There's a few dried traces of blood on the grip. Difficult to know for sure how they got there. A tribute engraved on the barrel. To the liberators of France.
Vaya por Dios.
Right. I shall have to find its owner.
Pues ya ves, o el Perú o Napoleón, alguno de los dos. Esta carta ya la leímos también, ¿no? Y esta...
August 24th.
Sí. Y esta...
3rd of November.
También. Vale.
Piece of fabric. High quality at that. I'd say it's silk. Going by the texture and the gray hue, it must come from a dress, that kind that women of quality wear.
Lógica... Protocolo, lógica.
The color doesn't correspond to Emily's black outfits, and Elizabeth doesn't have anything quite like this in her wardrobe. Let's take a closer look. It's a little dirty.
Mi madre.
It must come from the bottom of the dress where it touches the ground. I recognize that moire pattern. It's the same as the travel dress my mother was wearing when she left. But why the hell did she come into this room?
¿Pero por qué me está rehuyendo esa señora? ¿Por qué? No entiendo nada. ¿Y por qué me culpan a mí? ¿Y por qué si me culpan a mí estoy investigando esto? No lo entiendo. Hay muchas cosas que no entiendo.
Vials of laudanum.
Ostras. Voy a tomarme... la responsabilidad no tiene ningún coste. Uf, te voy un poco corto, de la...
The label shows that this laudanum comes straight from America. I wonder if Washington's involved.
No quiero gastar tantos puntos. Me quedaría nada y no tengo... cuántas cositas hay aquí. Cuchillo. Tócalo también.
The blade is short and thin. Well sharpened, apparently. It's covered in blood. Still fresh.
lower part of the handle is unsullied by blood. The murderer gripped the weapon so tight that there's no blood where he held it. The handprint indicates a small and slender hand.
Vale. Cuchillo examinado. ¿Qué es esto?
The blood spatter indicates that the murderer must have held Elizabeth upright during the attack. Even if Elizabeth wasn't very big, I doubt she wouldn't have put up a struggle. It takes tremendous strength to overpower someone like that.
Madre mía, ¿qué habrá pasado? Aparte de lo evidente que está muerta.
Knocked over a bottle of wine.
Ya no está rota.
Same thing Elizabeth served me last night.
Oh,
Still
shit.
just as disgusting. I don't know what's happened to this
cosa
wine,
negativa.
but it's undrinkable.
Me ha entrado resaca ahí de verlo. Bueno, a ver, primero la sangre.
Poor girl bled to death. Whoever left that footprint has boats for feet. That's at least a size 15.
Como puede tener una mano
Where's a size
pequeña
like that here?
y una pies tan grande.
Washington, maybe.
¿Cómo? No entiendo nada. Primero, antes de ver el cuerpo, ¿queda algo más? No. Bueno, pues ya está. Madre mía, qué destrozo. Ahora se tropieza y se cae encima ahí.
There are numerous marks on the body. She must have fought like a lion. It couldn't have happened without a lot of noise. There are also a number of old scars.
Sí, las cicatrices estaban de antes. Incluir las cicatrices gratis y analizar las cicatrices.
Scars are superficial and were made several years ago. She wasn't trying to take her own life.
Significado de las cicatrices. Todo lo que sea gratis lo voy a usar.
People who scar themselves in this way generally do so to relieve some kind of psychological suffering. By trying to master the pain, they establish their self-control.
Madre mía, soy todo listo, ¿eh? Y los tatuajes.
She had the sigillum de Ameth tattooed on her, the symbol of the living God, written in the language of angels, according to believers. It is rare for someone to know about symbols like this at her age, unless her mother was a tutor.
Todo me sale gratis porque tengo las esas
Ancient
mejoradas.
Greek. Let's see what it means. These are sacred chants intended to protect their bearer. But from whom? Or from what?
Madre mía, todos los tatuajes son para defenderse.
Masons? What's that doing here?
Pues ya ves tú. Masones, Washington. Vale. Ese era el brazo. Ahora el
I
torso.
count no fewer than 9 wounds on the thorax, with a lot of blood. On first sight, I'd say that's what caused her death.
Esto me cuesta. Y esto me cuesta. Ah, no, esto no me
It
cuesta.
looks as though the wounds were inflicted from a precise angle, as if the murderer was standing behind Elizabeth. Some of these tattoos are veritable works of... What's that? The skin between her breasts is different. Bloody hell! This tattoo was drawn on a page of leather and stitched onto her skin. Probably during childhood. If the scars are anything to go by. It's the same kind of tattoo as on the rest of her body.
Madre mía. Vale, examinar la cabeza.
I see no sign of bruising on the skull.
The only clue is a scar from a previous craniectomy. Poor Elizabeth, she must have been very young when she went through all that. That's torture. She also has old scars around the neck. Maybe mutilations.
Estaba hecho un desastre esta señora, ¿eh? A ver la boca.
What a strange smell. Breath. Smells of alcohol and of laudanum. People use it to relieve pain.
Y la nariz.
She bled from the nose.
Vale, esto me cuesta cero.
There's signs of bleeding, but I don't see any traces of bruising.
¿Ya está? ¿Esa es la mierda que me va a decir? Bueno, a ver, cabeza examinada. A ver las manos.
But blood on the right hand. Nothing on the left except that tattooed symbol.
Vamos a ver el símbolo.
This pinnacle's a trap. The wearers of the pinnacle thought that they were protected from evil by surrounding it inside the different circles of the pinnacle.
Van las muñecas.
No marks or bruising around the wrists. It doesn't look like she was tied up or held by force.
Vale, o sea que en resumen de momento la han matado por detrás. Y por lo que se ve pues le han sorprendido, ¿no? Porque no han estado ahí.
Blood, but no trace of blows on the legs.
A los tatuajes.
More tattoos, similar to those on the rest of her body.
No quiero gastar puntos. Vale. Pues... ¿qué se supone que tengo que hacer? Esto ya lo hemos visto. Pues esto ya está visto. Madre mía. Pues menuda investigación. Ya en el próximo capítulo seguimos a ver qué más ocurre.